Hello, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube. Myself, Mark Carlaw. Where today I'm joined by West Ham fan and her Game 2 ambassador, Charlotte Eve. Well, actually, I was going to say, Charlotte, also, you do writing as well for the West Ham Way Patreon as well. You do some
Yeah,
post-match write-up, which I do like reading. I've got to say,
Do
very good.
you? Oh,
Yeah, I
good. I'm
do.
glad
Yeah,
to
I look
hear.
forward to it. Yeah, it's good. I mean, although I will say that since you started doing it, we don't seem to win any games. So I'm wondering whether really we should just terminate this immediately, because I think that could be the issue. I'm only joking, of course. But how are you, Charlotte? How's 2023 treating you so far?
Yeah, not bad. It feels like I can't believe we're in 2023 and already going into mid-Jan. I don't know where the time goes.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah, I know. Christmas is
Don't
long
know.
gone. Distant
Yeah.
memory. Did you have a nice Christmas?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. Did you?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was. I was
Good.
like, before you started recording, I said to you, like, it feels like already a distant memory. I don't, you know what I mean? It's
know.
already like I can't believe that Christmas break's happened and gone, because it feels like it was months ago, even though it's been 2 weeks. But yeah, no. Apart from that, I'm all good. Before we get into West Ham, I mean, let's be honest. I know we're all dying to talk about West Ham, of course. I want to ask you about her Game 2. So you're an ambassador, I believe, for the movement. Could you tell, for people that don't know about it, including myself, actually would like to know a bit more, what can you tell us about this Her Game 2 movement?
Yeah, it was a campaign that started in like mid 2021. So it's still a fairly new campaign. But it's just to try and combat sexist attitudes towards predominantly female fans. We've kind of branched out recently more towards the women's football and women's sport as well. But it is largely just focusing on trying to create a safe space for female fans at matches, like on match day, just online, and just being treated with the same kind of attitude as any other fan.
Yes.
It's quite a what's the word, systemical issue of discrimination that girls and young women face being fans of a very male dominated sport. But I like to think that we've started to make some positive changes. It's essentially a bit like Kick It Out, but for sexism. And it's just trying to make a better positive experience for all fans, not just women.
I'm quite right too. Too. I mean, from what I've seen, I mean, I have sort of followed you. I've seen a fair bit about it, and it does seem to have gained incredible momentum. I've seen some big names as well that are endorsing it, and it's just brilliant to see. And like I say, it is right. Like, you know, women should feel safe at football. Should feel part of. You know, shouldn't ever feel like there's any discriminative attitude towards them at all. You know, and it's what I'm loving as well is that, you know, where football's moving. Too, is that the fact that the women's game in itself as well is being so well recognised, and it does feel like this is a good positive steps are being reached. But it's great that you're obviously part of something that's pushing this further and helping, like, you know, the female fans as well.
Yeah, we definitely are seeing a lot more positive response to female women's sports, which is really, really good. But I think a lot of people get this idea that they're being told they have to like it, they have to support it, and that stems from a very sexist way of thinking as well. And it's just that we're not asking you to be, you know, biggest fan of the women's sport at all. We're just asking that you respect it, you respect the female athletes, and you're not using derogatory language or comments when you're making any negative comments around the sport. And it's a similar thing with just female fans in general of football and other sports. We have started to branch out to cricket and rugby as well, but largely our focus is football. It's just like, you know, you can disagree with people. And you see all these things like people are like, oh, you can't disagree with a woman, it's sexist. But that's not what we're saying. You can disagree without using language that is like, well, it's because you're a woman, or you don't belong in this sport. You can have a conversation without directing it to coming from a place of that sexism.
Absolutely, like you said about like you compared it to Kick It Out. Like, you know, you can disagree, say, with a black person, but you don't use a language that but race is not the point. That's not part of the argument.
Exactly.
And that's it. So it shouldn't be. If you're going to have a debate with someone that say, like, if I was going to debate with you and I disagree with you, you're right. It shouldn't. There should never be an argument and say, well, you're a woman, you wouldn't know. You know what I mean? That's not part of the conversation. That shouldn't ever be. We're talking about the sport. No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and I have to say, I think it's definitely worse online. But
oh, really?
I think most women could tell you that they've faced it, especially online. With the writing that I've done for the West Ham Way, I have to say the response has been amazing. I have not faced anything like that, and it's really positive. And after we've had bad matches, I always get a bit nervous writing a match report after a bad West Ham game, because the response is never good. But the frustrations that people are giving, maybe disagreeing with my opinion on what I've written, it is just their opinion. It's just a conversation, and never once have they actually mentioned anything about my gender or me writing it. So I'm totally on board to take criticism and listen to the opinions, and people just like to have a rant as well when it's been a bad game. It's been a really positive thing to write for West Ham Way, and just not be subject to any of that. So,
well, I'll tell you what, and before we go on to, before we finish this topic, I do want to say as well, I've got 2 daughters. They're very young at the moment, 4 and 6. So, but I want to bring them to West Ham. Hopefully, if they like football, of course, but I hope they do. And it's great that you're doing that, because it's not something I've ever really considered, because I'm not a female, and I've never really, and I'm certainly not somebody that's ever targeted women and found it. I'm always open to everybody. So it's interesting to have your eyes opened a little bit, like you just said. Like you find it online quite a lot. See, I wouldn't know that, and I don't see it, so I don't really. So it's interesting to get that perspective on things, and it makes me aware then for the future. And so it's great that you're doing things like this, because obviously when they're getting to an age when they might want to come to watch the football, and I want to be able to take them there safely and not feel that they're going to be discriminated against because of of their sex, which is ridiculous. So no, hats off to you, and it's great, and and your writing is good, and it's it's a shame that it's in this season that so far there's not a lot to cheer about, but like you say, I'm really pleased to hear that the comments have been, even when they've been negative, they're negative about the match, and they're negative rather than, attacking you for that. So that's fantastic. I have to ask you now about West Ham. So, season so far.
I'm wearing a Her Game 2 t-shirt.
Oh, you are, yeah. And do you know what? I saw you in that top, didn't I? I saw you at the ground.
Sorry,
I saw you wear it, didn't I? When I bumped into you at the ground.
Yes, sometimes I wear it to the ground.
Yeah, it's a really good top. It actually looks better than
people asking. So people will say, "Oh, what's that top? What's that about?" Or some people recognise it and they're like, "Oh, it's really great work that you guys do." So
that's fantastic. We should mention that, really. We're going off topic slightly here, but we do pre-match events, obviously, for West Ham Way. So it'd be interesting if we could maybe, I don't know, I'm sure if we could get them available there, that'd be brilliant, because they really, and I say in the flesh are even better. They really are smart. I do like them.
Yeah, that is a really good idea, actually. A really good idea. So
there you go. I'm sure we can sort that out. We've got one coming up in a couple of weeks. So
I'll be there.
Excellent. On to West Ham then. Season so far, Charlotte. We are in dire straits, really. It's been a terrible season, really. And ultimately, really, as I've reported on previously, and we all kind of know, it's not been a good year, really, last year for West Ham. It wasn't just a season so far. It's been pretty poor. What's your thoughts on things? How are you seeing the season so far? Do you think this is a blip? Do you think it's going to turn, or are we doomed? Where are you sitting at the moment?
I think we're hitting a bit of just a bump in the road. I do think things will look up. I don't know why. I think morale is low. And I think Noble leaving may have had more of an effect just on the players and the staff and just everyone involved more than was anticipated. So I do think it is just a blip. I don't think we're doomed. I don't think we'll go down. Maybe I'm being optimistic, but I don't.
No, I like it. Let's get a bit of optimism. I like the optimism. Please.
We need it.
Yeah, exactly. Please.
But And I also don't think the football is that terrible. There but have been some games where the performance has been poor. But there have been other games where I thought the performance has actually been very good and we just can't seem to get the ball in the back of the net. And I don't know why that is. I don't know. Maybe we're cursed.
It does feel like that sometimes. I do agree.
It really does. It really does. But yeah, no, I do think it is just a bit of like a low mood, low morale. I don't want to speculate too much on maybe what the players are thinking and going through, but I reckon, I mean, we'll probably mention, you know, with Dawson wanting to go back, live near his family.
Yeah.
We all know that Rice wants to go play at a club that he's going to win things with, and who can blame him? So I wonder if all of the players maybe wanting to leave maybe doesn't help the attitudes and the performances.
I Joe, what, I completely agree. I think there's a lot of factors at play this season. You know, like you touched on, Noble leaving was massive. I think Stuart Pearce leaving back, the backroom staff was huge.
Yeah.
I think there's just been so much change and so much going on, and like you say, and maybe West Ham have sort of shot themselves in the foot slightly, like with keeping players that don't really want to be here. I don't really think it helps. And that's no dig at Rice at all. Like you said, who can blame him? You know, he's at that level. You know, let's be honest, future England captain. He's probably going to be captaining them probably the next 2-3 years. So I can see why, but I just think that there's a lot of factors at play. Ultimately, my personal opinion is that I just see a team that's just so void of confidence at the moment, really lacking it, and they're just not believing in themselves and not really believing in what's going on. I do think it can turn. The evidence isn't really pointing towards it's going to turn at the moment. I don't know. I really hope it is, because we've come off the back of a couple of half decent results. So you'd kind of think that hopefully we can gain some momentum. Yeah. I mean, Wolves is the key game, isn't it? Ahead of, before Everton. These are two massive matches. I do need to ask them I'm kind of guessing where you're going to say now. I might be wrong, but David Moyes. Now, there's obviously a huge divide in the fan base regarding him. Well, when I say huge divide, it's probably not 50-50. So I think there's probably 70-30. I think people wanted Moyes to go, which I think is kind of common in football anyway. I think we get emotional. You know, we always think change is the better. X was talking about it on the podcast and saying, well, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better. Just changing a manager doesn't guarantee success. But, you know, as natural as fans, we all, and I think it's just in life, you always think a change must mean it'd be better. So that's what a lot of people are calling for. Where are you sitting on the Moyes debate? Do you think that his days are numbered and we need a change? Or do you think, no, this man is the man to lead us through this awful patch that we are currently going through?
It's a hard one. I think I'm quite on the fence, but probably leaning towards more needing a change. And I'd say my opinion on that has only changed very recently. Before the World Cup, I would still very much keep him in, you know, see how things go when we get back. But since I think we need a change, but who we would get in, I have absolutely no idea. And that's where I'm kind of not sure, because I don't know who would do any better.
Yeah.
But realistically, so you could say, oh, Pochettino, or, I mean, let's be realistic. Managers like that are not going to come to West Ham. And
certainly not in the position we're in. You know what I mean?
Currently, not currently.
No.
So I think if Moyes went, the most likely replacement would be Sean Dyche.
Agreed. Yeah.
I don't think much would change with him. I think we tend to go for that sort of manager. So a bit of a long answer. I think
Charlotte, I'm the same as you. I've been very much Moyes in for a long time. I didn't want to press the panic button. I did feel that he could turn things around. When I shifted quite significantly was the Arsenal game. And people will say, well, yeah, you're playing the league leaders. You know, it was, you know, what were you expecting? I wasn't expecting to win. I never expected anything really from the game. But what I did expect to see was some fight and a bit of more of oomph about us. I thought we've had a big World Cup break, and to see us come out and play in such a negative, flat, and I just thought we got bullied all over the pitch. I thought even the technical team got bullied. You know, they were just sort of quiet and looked frightened of Arteta and his team. And I just sort of thought, And that was my point when I started thinking this is a big problem. We've somehow got worse from where we left off. I thought we were going to come back all rejuvenated and up for it. The Brentford game, I do think that there was a slight improvement, although it was a little bit toothless after the first 15 minutes. However, there was an improvement. We weren't that bad. I don't think Brentford were overly great, really. I think they scored two pretty basic goals. The scoreline probably flattered them a little bit 2-0. It wasn't. They didn't dominate us at all, really. It was just a bit of a flat game. But I will say the positive signs have then, started to re-emerge at Everton performance. The Leeds performance far better. It looked like we looked like we were up for it. We had a bit of fight about us. Soufal was getting stuck in. We looked like it was a proper West Ham performance. It wasn't pretty on the eye by no means, but it was a good performance in that regard. It was a bit more. We're never going to go from playing badly to suddenly playing like Barcelona. It's just never going to happen. You've got to kind of build the foundations, and I felt that that's what it was. A bit of a game where we just rolled our sleeves up and thought we've got to get stuck in, and really we should have won.
We should have, yeah.
And which would have been a great result. And even a draw is not a bad result. Draw away from home in the Premier League can never be sort of turn your nose up at it. But ideally, we need the win, but we move on. And then we've gone to Brentford in the FA Cup and won. And all right, and X and Dave were saying that they were there. It was a rubbish performance in the first half. But let's remember, it was like a farmer's field and it was pouring with rain. It was a tough game. I don't really think you're ever going to get a great performance in those conditions. So to come away with a win, I thought was great. And now we've faced these two big games. So for me, like you say, I'm a little bit on the fence at the moment. For me, I'm just going to kind of judge it on the next two games. I just want to sit back and say, right, Moyes, this is your time now. You've got to show us that the players are behind you. I'm starting to sense they might be. Like that's my bit of encouragement. The players, they seem to be fighting for him a little bit. So
yeah, I think they are. I just my biggest issue with Moyes, I think, is he just doesn't really change things up. We saw against was it Leeds? He changed up their lineup quite significantly.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
but he put Kira at left back, and it's things like that I can't comprehend. I just don't know where your brain's at to go. I've got two left backs on the bench, got Creswell and Emerson. I'm going to put Kira there, who's not a left back.
It was abysmal as
awful.
Well.
Yeah,
it was really bad. So I have no idea what that thought process was there.
No.
And I think that's why we let in 2 goals, didn't we? The back line just was not good enough. And Kerr in left back, I do not understand that decision. And then when he moved him to right back, he wasn't much better.
No.
Right back either. So I think that was just a poor game for him.
I agree. It's strange. I mean, like you say, the thing is with Moyes, and the frustration is his decision making sometimes is a bit peculiar. We can't quite work it out. He's very strong with his selections, and he doesn't waver even if certain players are playing very badly. He seems to just ignore it, and it just goes on and on and on. I mean, the treatment of some of the players I'm finding a bit confusing. But this is a negative kind of view, and maybe trying to look at a positive light. You think we've got 2 decent results, relatively decent. We're coming on the back of, and then. We've got the likes of Kurt Zouma, who I believe is going to be in the squad and probably will be starting against Wolves. He'll be partnering Agurd for the first time. So we've got our sort of 2 main centre-backs back now, which is quite exciting. I think that really should help things out, you'd hope.
I think that would be very positive.
Yeah. And it's almost as he's finally woken up and realised that Paqueta's better to play a deeper role.
Definitely.
Everyone's been screaming it all season, and all of a sudden it's like he's finally gone, fair enough, okay, I hold my hands up, he should be playing there, because he seems to his game's improved quite quickly since it's been dropped a bit deeper. So it's like there is signs for encouragement. And also as well, we've been quite busy speaking to Exlot today, and there's a lot going on, I think, in the market. I think West Ham are going to be quite busy, it looks like. So it looks like there could be a couple of faces hopefully joining the club as well, so hopefully it might lift the mood. So hopefully, fast forward in a month or two's time, we should be in a better position. But these 2 games are massive, absolutely.
They are. But I don't think Moyes would. If we lose the next 2 games, I still don't think Moyes will go.
I think that's. My gut feeling is if we get hammered against Wolves, I think he'll go. I think if we lose to Wolves, he might stay, but it'll have to be a good performance to lose. You know what I mean? He can't go down. If we lose 1-0 or 2-1, it might keep him his job. But I think if we go there and lose 4-0, I can't see him keeping his job. That's just my gut feeling. But you reckon, honestly, if we lose 2, you reckon he'll still keep his job?
Yeah, I mean, I would very much hope not, because I would, if we lose next 2, I mean, that's definitely got to go. But I would be surprised.
Yeah. Talking about the January though, Charlotte, what's your feelings on the window? Where if you're sitting in David Moyes' chair now, what are you thinking in terms of who you'd like to bring in? Are you looking at certain positions you'd like to strengthen going into the second period of the season?
It's a hard one, because I feel like we made so many good signings. We had a really good window in the summer, and it felt like we had quite good coverage of all our options. I would say left back. I think Creswell's done a great job for us, but you know, it's quite hit and miss, and I think he's getting an older player now. We need. I mean, a lot of our players are approaching end of career age, and that's a worry. Because, you know, we rely on them quite a bit. So I think a left back is one of them. I'm not really sure what seems to have happened with Ben Johnson, to be honest. He doesn't ever seem to get any game time.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've got a theory on that, which I don't like as well, which I worry about, and I hope I'm wrong. I get the feeling he's not playing him because of the contract situation, which really annoys me if that is the case. If Moyes is kind of saying, well, if you're not signing up, if you're going to play up and not want to, because apparently Moyes, there's been disagreements over what the Johnson camp want in terms of salary, and, you know, where he thinks he's sitting at the club at the moment. He thinks he's an established Premier League player, and I think the club are saying, well, not really yet. You know, you need to work your way up. So there's a bit of a disagreement in terms of where he thinks he's sitting. That's fine. You know, that's for the club to deal with. Now, if Moyes is dropping him because of that, then I don't get that. You know what I mean? Then if that's the case, then why aren't you dropping Declan Rice? Because Declan Rice is refusing to sign a contract. He's made it very clear he kind of wants to move on. So if you can't do it both ways, I hope that's not true. I'm just kind of guessing that, but that's my guess, because, like you say, it's a bit peculiar. He's playing a lot, and all of a sudden he's not playing.
Yeah, I think you might be right. And I think we do need another striker. I think I sense Antonio is a bit fed up with maybe that Scamacca gets starts over him. I would like to see more of Scamacca and Antonio playing up front together, but Moyes doesn't seem to favour
no, because that would mean changing the formation, and we don't do that.
No. But also, I don't want to just have one striker to rely on. So if we can get another decent striker in, that could make. I mean, because again, our finishing is such a big problem. So if we could bring someone in for that as well, because I think there's rumour of Antonio going as well, isn't there?
There is, I mean, I don't know how serious it is. I think, you know, like you say, I think you alluded to, I get the impression he's a little bit fed up with the situation. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if that is the case, I don't know it for fact. I think it possibly is the case. I think X actually reported that it might well be the case. I don't really get it. Like, he's in his I think he's 33. You know, he's had a great career at West Ham. He's our Premier League all-time goal scorer. He earns a very good salary. I don't really get it. This is the same man that was saying to the club, why am I playing 45 games in a year and I've not got any competition? I need a rest. He's now brought in a striker and he's moaning because he's got competition effectively. So I don't really get it. But like you say, like, at the end of the day, if we've got any players that don't want to be at the club, in my opinion, I think we should be looking to move them on. Rice included in that. I mean, I appreciate not January maybe because we need him for now, but I don't see the point in keeping people that don't want to be around.
I completely agree. I'd rather just, if a player wants to go, I'd rather just, you know, let them go, get someone else.
Absolutely, because it's no good for the dressing room. You know, we only want players that are going to be there. It does look like there's going to be some movement in the striker front. I mean, I know we're in the Serie bid that we actually reached an agreement with Sevilla, and he's then turned it down himself, which is actually quite commendable. I thought, you know, the fact he wants to stay and help his club avoid relegation, because they're in dire trouble as well. So I actually quite respect that. I think that's quite a lot for the player. And what I quite like about that, he's kind of alluding to the fact he might come in the summer. So he sort of said, I want to stay here for the rest of the season. So that kind of opens the door to that he might be coming over in the summer. But I also hear about this Terran Moffey. We've actually just put an article up as we're recording this regarding that. So it looks like there's something could be happening there, which would be quite exciting because his goal scoring record is quite amazing. And that's what we need. We just need someone who's going to put the ball in the net. And I think that's what we're lacking.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you go, Charlotte, I do need to ask you 2 more questions. And first of all, I'm going to ask you. Well, I'll do in one question. I'll sort of wrap it up. 1, where do you think West Ham are going to finish this season? Where do you see the season going? And 2, what's your prediction for Saturday at Wolves?
Oof.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Do you know, I actually had a ticket for Wolves, but
really,
yeah. I mean, I've been going to quite a few of the away games this season, most of them. But the Wolves game, I said I'm not going to go because I have 100% loss record at that stadium. I've been a few times.
Make sure you just
now.
lock you in your house and you just don't ever.
I've been a few times now. I've never seen us win there, and I just can't do it again. I don't know. I don't want to be pessimistic because I think we'll lose 1-0. Wolves are the sort of team that we struggle against because of they put 10 men behind the ball at all times. Yeah. And we play very defensively against that. And then all it takes is one little break or mistake on our back line. They nick a goal and that's it. It stays 1-0 for the rest of the game. And I can see that happening again.
Really? You're supposed to be lifting the mood, Charlotte. I was excited about the conversation. I thought it was going to be optimism. It's just got worse. It's probably me that's done it. But do you know what? I'm going to go against you here. I hate doing this because I feel like I'm going to shoot myself in the foot. But I actually quite optimistic about Saturday. I don't know why. I've just got this feeling that something good's coming. I've got this feeling. I think that on the back of the last 2 games, I saw a bit of fight. The fact that Wolves have just played in the cup. In the League Cup, and they lost to Nottingham Forest on penalties, which I think will deflate them quite considerably. And plus, they've just played a game; they're probably quite exhausted from that as well. I've got a feeling West Ham are going to win. I really do. I've got this really weird feeling, and I don't know why. I just got this feeling we're going to win it, and I really hope it. Don't hold me to it, for God's sake. And also, of course, where do you think the season's going? Where do you honestly think West Ham are going to be finishing the season? And are we going to finally lift a bloody trophy?
Oh. And that one I'm not sure about. I think things will pick up and I think we'll finish 10th. Or just outside the top half. But I think we will be around the middle. And considering how poor the first half of the season's been, I would be quite happy with that.
Absolutely.
But will we win a trophy? No. I don't see it.
No, I agree. I don't really see us winning the trophy. Obviously, we all want the Conference League, and we can do it. Let's be honest, we can do it. And our record in Europe is pretty good. We are pretty good European side for some reason.
I think we will go very far.
Crap in England. We don't know what we're doing in our own country, but abroad we're pretty good. We know what we're doing. That's what I mean. Maybe we should just try and move the club to Malaga or something.
Yeah, might be right. But I think we will go far in the Conference League. I do.
I think so as well.
Semis or final, definitely.
And I think it'd be good if we can get some momentum going before that resumes in March. It would be great. If we can turn things around by then. I think that's the key now, just to get some momentum. But Charlotte, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. As always, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next event. And I'm sure we'll have you on again soon. And spreading all that optimism that you love to spread.
I try.
But but we'll be at the pre-match event for anyone that hasn't got a ticket yet. There will be they're still on sale, so myself and Charlotte will also be there, giving it large and celebrating the fact that West Ham smashed Wolves, and obviously going to do the same against Everton.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I look forward to it.
Me too. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you.